Hello and welcome back. This lesson is about calculating taxes, something that you will never get away from, I'm afraid. So today's goal, I can successfully use percent to calculate taxes for real-world examples. So just a quick review here. We want to go from percent to decimal. So let's go with 40%, 16%, and let's go 3%. So when we're converting to a decimal, what we're really doing is we're going to divide each of these numbers by 100. Now some of you are going to be saying, well, let's just move the decimal over 2. Sounds good to me. That works as well. Okay? The only one you got to be careful with is that last one. So 40%, if you divide it by 100, or you move the decimal over 2 places, because the decimal starts here, boom, boom, it would be 0.4. 16% becomes 0.16. 3%, the tricky one. Just be careful. When you move that decimal over, it'll be 0.03. All right, don't write down 0.3. That's 30%. Okay, so you covered that in an earlier unit. So that's just a quick refresher. So what is taxes? What is tax? Okay, it is a method for the government to collect money and provide us with services. So when you purchase most items, you'll be charged tax. That tax is an amount of money that will go to the government, and the government will use that money to fund hospitals, schools, police forces, fix the roads, etc., etc. So it's a method for which they can collect money from us, the public. Okay? How do we calculate taxes? So it will be our sales price. So if you go and buy something, it's your sales price multiplied by tax, and that's as a decimal. So it has to be as a decimal. And that will give us the tax amount. All right, so you don't have to write that formula out 100 times. Okay, it's just there as a quick reference for you. So I guess here I'm going to put tax as a percent. Okay, so we want to write it as a decimal. Okay, so I have a couple of examples to go through, and you'll see that it's not that bad. So on to the next page here, the next slide. So determine the amount of taxes for the following situation. So I want you to realize how much tax are you paying on a particular purchase. So you go in and you buy a cell phone for $399. So this would be an example of a cell phone that is unlocked, means it's not part of a plan. And 13% taxes, that is currently when this video is shot, that's the taxes in Ontario. So if you go in and buy a $399 cell phone, we take the cost of what you're buying, we multiply it by tax as a decimal. So 13% we need to write as, so I'll just put this up here as a reminder, 0.13. So that means 0.13. So a $399 purchase, oops, $399 times 0.13 is $51.87. Isn't that crazy? So you spend $400, you're going to have to spend an additional $51.87 just to pay for taxes. All right? So therefore, taxes are $51.87. So just be careful. So let's say you're saving up for a new PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, and it's $400 or $399. Don't go into the store with $399 because it's not going to be enough. You have to pay that taxes, and that's how you figure it out. So that means that you would have to pay $399 plus $51.87. So just so you know, $399 Xbox, whoops, plus taxes on there, plus $51.87. That means that Xbox really costs $51.87, $450. Crazy, eh? All right, so it's that much more is what you'd have to pay for that Xbox. So just keep that in mind when you are saving up. Okay, you purchase a pair of pants for $49.99. Sales taxes are 7%. So Ontario is always 13%. 7% is maybe you're in Florida, okay, on a holiday. Their tax rate in Florida is about 7% right now. So $49.99. Again, don't be careful here. 7% as a decimal is 0.07. Okay, with those single percentage numbers. So that means if you're in Florida and you bought a pair of pants, you're going to pay an additional $3.50, much less than in Ontario. Okay, and finally, 11%. 11% is approximately what Michigan's tax rate is. So you can see every province, every state has its own tax rate. So I'm just trying to give you a bit of a variety because doing 13% all the time is not very exciting. So the 11%, we need to write it as a decimal. So it's 0.11. Excuse me, 0.11. So $29.05 for your hunting license. And you're going to have to pay an extra $3.20. Make sure you always round to 2 decimal places. All our money is 2 decimal places, okay? So when you do your calculator, this really came out to be 3.1955. We don't go out to that many decimal places. We always go to 2 decimal places, so it's $3.20. So you will have a worksheet that just has calculating tax rates. All right. Again, useful skill, so you can anticipate what the final cost of a lot of things are. Complete that worksheet, show it to the teacher, and we'll see you in the next segment.